Thank you for staying with us. Richard, before the break, you were talking about the doctor-patient relationship. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Oh, absolutely, Robyn. The care of our patients is very much a team approach, and so there are people throughout the organisation who are equally critical in the way in which we look after our patients. And what I've always tried to do is help people understand that they're part of that. So whether they are the nurses, the social workers, the administrators, all the people as well as the physicians are part of this team that hold the patient in the cup of their hand. And I think as people realise the importance of that responsibility, that they're all part of this very important journey with their patient, the patients experience it in a much more positive way, and I believe that they have a better outcome.
Absolutely. You know, I love the way you said that you're there to serve, because I think that service word gets totally misused in our society. I mean, for example, we're talking earlier about Kevin Rudd, the Prime Minister of Australia. They often say the higher we raise in the office of our land, the greater our responsibility to serve the people of of our land. And I think for too long, people saw doctors as gods. And what a doctor said, you know, if a doctor said you had cancer and you're going to die, a lot of people took that on. And it's so refreshing to hear you talk in the way you do, and it sounds like part of your passion is to help educate other people in the medical profession to look at the whole, yeah?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've got to tell you a personal story. You know, as I mentioned to you, my father was a cancer surgeon, and my mother died first, and then my father died. And I went upstairs and sat at his desk and looked at what he looked at every day. And he had a picture of my mum before she had kids. She looked very unstressed, taken with a black and white photo on Cottesloe Beach in Perth. And there was the prayer of St Francis of Assisi, focused on essentially being an instrument of God's peace and serving people. And I think that feeling of service for our patients is a very renewing spirit. And I've seen this type of love which renews people's spirit so many times. I think Olivia is a great example of that. This is a woman who's extraordinary in the way in which she has this self-renewing passion for others, which seems to give her this energy, constantly giving out and constantly replenishing that through a love, a genuine love. And I think we do forget about this, but it's so key, I believe, in the quality of cancer care that we give to our patients.
I think the power of love is the greatest power on the planet, and the gratitude energy that also goes with that. They say the more grateful we are for what we have, you know, I don't know about you and I don't know about other people, but sometimes I can focus on what I don't have rather than being so grateful for what I do have. And it's that whole aspect in that journey in wellness where cancer patients, when they have the environment you're talking about, I mean, what an amazing gift that they're given to have people like yourself creating a wellness centre which allows them to come from a point of gratitude rather than fear.
Well, I think one of the opportunities are to bring these new types of programs into the hospitals that we have here. Certainly in the United States we have a couple of what I think are exciting programs. You know, I lecture in 3 areas: breast cancer, prostate cancer and poetry therapy. And I find that one of these approaches, the alternative approaches or integrative approaches of music therapy, art therapy, poetry therapy, these types of approaches, as I mentioned before, make a person actually stronger and more insightful. And often they live in the moment in a much more real way as a result of having been diagnosed with and having experienced a near-death experience. And these types of approaches, these therapies as we call them, help put the person back together in a much stronger way, and a much more fulfilling life often follows from that. So this is a big responsibility. In music therapy, one of the things I'm very excited about is the idea of bringing to our patients an engagement using simulcasts from various musical events. What we'd really like to do is set up a concert for the cure.
Oh, I like that, a concert for the cure.
Exactly.
Now that's positive languaging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I'd love to see is a simulcasting of this concert for the cure into the beds of our patients.
Yeah.
And when patients are in hospital, often particularly the kids we look after, or the young adults and people we transplant, bone marrow transplants for example, we find that people lose the sense of time and place and space, and then subsequently themselves.
Yeah.
And what I'd love to see is the simulcasting of this concert for the cure into the beds of our patients. And I'd love to see this as an international and hopefully a global event. And my hope is we'd have a pay-per-view, and you know, everybody in the world, or many people who have TV, $5 or whatever it is, but we become all part of the same process, because no one on this globe is spared from this.
No.
And to me, this is one very unique opportunity to be part of a global, compassionate coalition and have a great concert.
I love the wording, concert for the cure. Well, as we come towards the end of our conversation with you, could you please just look into that camera and share with the viewers why you feel it's important for them to donate what they can to the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Centre and Wellness Hospital? What would you say to them?
I think the key elements here are that this is a time of change. We are trying to change the culture of the globe, one step at a time, to appreciate that the treatment for cancer is a balanced approach. It's not just the traditional approaches, the chemotherapy, the very important approaches, the traditional approaches, but the wellness of the patient, the quality of life for our patients are a very important part of where we're trying to head in the world. And I believe that the spirit of what we're trying to create here with Olivia Newton-John and the new facility, the new comprehensive cancer facility at the Austin Hospital, named after Olivia Newton-John, represents an example of wellness and holistic care that every patient deserves. The cure for this disease and the change of quality of life for everyone in the globe is part of a shared responsibility for everybody. Please be part of this.
Richard, thank you so much for being part of the program. Thank you so much for the work that you do in the world, because as I say, it's refreshing to see more and more doctors like yourself, and I know that the Austin Hospital in Melbourne is part of this, are now bringing together that holistic approach, that it's not just science, that is bringing in a more spiritual aspect, because that's where, you know, it is being proven with some of the work out there that that's where the healing comes from. So pleased you came on this walk. It's been a joy to meet you. It's been a joy to have a chat with you. And one of the things that Richard and I spoke about last night, he might just download a couple of the conversations with the Robyn programs with the likes of the Greg Bradens and the Bruce Liptons, and perhaps show them to the patients in the hospitals, because those guys have some phenomenal information, which is about, you know, self-healing.
Robyn, I thank you for being part of caring for our patients. We will bring those to our patients, and it's a much better story to be playing to them every day, and news of hope, rather than some of the other things we get on the news these days.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good luck with the concert. What's it called again?
Concert for the Cure.
Concert for the Cure. I love the name.
Yeah. Hopefully Kimmel Performing Arts Centre, Philadelphia, beautiful acoustics.
Yeah.
And hopefully many other people will feel like they could be part of this.
Oh, wonderful. Wouldn't it be great if that could be simulcast around the world, you know, through the internet or something?
Exactly. That's our hope.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Robyn.
Okay. Stay with us for the second part of today's program.